Afternoon, everybody. Glad to see nobody asleep just yet after the lunch, and now the sunshine shining in again as well. Not certain how much you can see on this. I've tried to put some clever animations on there which you probably can't see, so it's pointless me putting them on really. I want to look at this in a slightly different way. What we've just heard Gareth talk about were really big numbers and really ambitious, but perhaps that's how we've got to be, very ambitious. We heard the Tidal Lagoon Swansea Bay this morning and the size of that and the size of that supply chain. What I'd like to cover now is what we've just done in Tidal Energy in building our demonstration unit and the type of contractors, local contractors and local content that we've used in that. And then moving forward when we go into developing an array, hopefully off St. David's Head, on what that would really mean then. This is much smaller scale. We're not talking about billions of pounds here, but we're talking about how really local supply chain can help in us moving that forward. It's perhaps not stating the obvious that I'm going to look at here. Maybe it is. Really, all I want to do is stimulate your thoughts for some questions later on. Our demonstration unit, fading into the background there, hopefully fading into the water very soon. I want to break this down into three simple areas, really, on what we looked at. The first one was quite simple, actually. We needed an office here. Our headquarters are in Cardiff. To be able to get the device built and commissioned and then, of course, installed, we needed a local office here. So there we started off by hiring an office in the port area. Tremendous old office we've got there. Of course, then we had to get the unit built. This is the bit that everybody expects you to focus on. You know, the fabrication and the companies we've used during that fabrication. But again, I want to just try to get you to think a little bit outside the box there of not just the great work that Mustang did for us in fabricating the unit, then assembling it, but also the various contractors that they had to use locally to use slightly different technology perhaps that's been used at Mustang before, and they couldn't provide to us, but they had their own internal supply chain that they could then supply that skill set to us. And I think it's important to think that way as well as thinking on the large side of things. There's been quite a few comments this morning and this afternoon about grid connection and how good it is down here, and yes, we were very fortunate that we do have good grid connection down at Ramsey Sound, down at St. Justinian's there, right on the top of the cliff, but we had no means of plugging that in. So that was the other thing we had to do, was build a substation there. Building the substation there, installing all the shore cables, again, it's not just simply using one contractor to go on that. There's multiple contractors, and any civils contractor, even be based in Bristol or somewhere like that, uses local content for all his labour workforce to do the work down there, and that was really important. So I know you can't see these pictures too well, and I've put a list up there of really different people that you might think of. I mean, these are people we've not given full jobs to, but it's now increased their workload because we're in the area, we've had the unit built. Simple things like office cleaning. We've got an office there, it needs cleaning, we need cleaners for it. So there's more people starting to be employed, or their workload is going up slightly just because we've come into the area. And that goes through various office supplies and stuff like that. But when you come down to what I mentioned earlier with regard to subcontractors for, say, Mustang, the skill set in boat building is there. Assembly of a tidal turbine is something quite different. And the skills we require for assembling that, the guys at Mustang have got that. But then we find something that's not quite as we wanted, as we designed it. We've got to take it apart. We do on-site machining. So there's something else we need. We now need a company to come in who's got the ability to do on-site machining. Is that in the area? We're fortunate here. Yes, it is. Simple things like painting. Is it in-house? Do we have to go outside to get the painting? There's an awful lot of contractors, not full-time jobs here. This is just a demonstration unit, but it gives you an indication of the type of contractors that we're using on a full-scale basis. NDT services, there's another one. I mean, you can spend a huge amount of money on an NDT service. So again, we're fortunate there's one pretty close in this area that we were able to use. last but not least, we've got a lot of contractors who are actually coming out of the area. Our whole drivetrain components are supplied from Germany, from the UK. We need those commissioned. We need to bring engineers in to commission those. Therefore, they need hotels to stay in. So although this is a tremendous place in the summer and it's very busy and hotels are very busy, in the quieter seasons, projects like ours bring in contractors who are going to stay in those hotels. So all I'm trying to do here is just think a little bit outside your standard supply chain, but it's all really important, and it's infrastructure that's required within the area, and that's without going into the transport infrastructure that you need as well. Components do have to be supplied, whether it by road, rail or sea. Again, it's something that's got to be considered, and again, we're fortunate down this area that we do have that. Okay, so what is the future potential for growing that supply chain of those smaller types of supply companies? Our St. David's Head array is a 10 megawatt array there. That would be 8 of the larger base frames that we've got, 3 turbines per base frame, 24 turbines in total, not just the one that you see there at the moment. That won't be done instantly, it'll be done over a period of time. So as we go through that period of time, do we need to increase office space, for instance? Certainly TEL staff would probably have to increase. Fabrication facilities, how is that going to increase? How do we work together with the fabricator to get the supply of turbines, to get them installed at the right time of the year, at the right time of the tide, to ensure that we build up the array in a period that we've expected to? It could be that that fabrication facility's got to grow, and therefore all of those smaller companies will need to grow with that. Will the grid connection grow? Possibly not. Will the control room grow there? Possibly. Will we need full-time operators down there? Quite possibly. That all depends on nature of how we sell or present the array that was there. Again, there's fantastic opportunity there for permanent increase in staff and people. But I think importantly is getting down to installing the devices. Installation is really key. Putting an array in may be more difficult with a moored vessel. It may be you want to use different vessels, such as a DP installation vessel that's able to operate in an array without worried about moorings. Certainly that's another discussion point. I think importantly is looking forward to when this array is put in place. Our base frames are going to be fairly large. They won't be taken out. As you heard from Chris earlier on, we're looking at removable nacelles. That removable nacelle is a lot lighter than trying to put anything else in the water. Therefore, perhaps we need a purpose-built vessel that's going to take these nacelles in and out. 24 nacelles, how often are we going to maintain those? Perhaps once a year. That's 2 nacelles a month that would have to come out for maintenance. Where are we going to maintain it? We've now built a vessel to do the maintenance, purpose-built, crew on it, occupied most of the year round, pulling these nacelles out. And the other thing we'd need close by, Pembroke Port perhaps, is an installation, repair and maintenance base. That requires the skill set of the people who've assembled the device, so they know the internals of it completely. They can then keep the maintenance going of the spare units, which then go back out on the vessel and back into the array. All I needed to do was try and get you thinking about actually the scope of a supply chain is quite huge, and it's not just the fabrication people, it's all the support they require, and also all the support both the office staff and the commissioning teams need. Okay, thank you.